Welcome to another day in the channel where we are giving you informative materials that you can use to fast track your immigration process to Canada. Today we are answering a video suggestion by one of our subscribers, Tak, who actually asked these questions. Please, can you make a video on tourist visa? The tourist visa is basically the visitor's visa in Canada. So today, this video is dedicated to you, Tak, and all who are looking for means to use the visitor's permit, which is the temporary visitor's permit, to come over to Canada. And the good news is that from February 25, 2023, up till February of the coming year, the government have said that if you have a visitor's visa, you can look for a job. If you can't get one, you can get a temporary work permit from inside Canada. Is that not cool? So having that in hand, your goal is to see how fast you can transition, looking for a job fast. But the very first thing is getting to Canada on a visitor's permit. It is not easy for many because they fail the basic prerequisite check by the visa officer. The things that they need to put inside the application, they are not there, and as such, they have a rejection. Well, we are going to outline means that you can use to see that your application is smooth when you do put in this. For many persons, they will be doing the application online. You'll be required to take a biometric. And once you've done this, as always, you want to be sure that you are re-engineering. What is your goal when you are seeking a visitor's permit? Ideally, you need to convince the visa officer beyond all reasonable doubt. Everything that he wants to see in your application, you should be having them in place. For example, the funds that you have. Is it enough to cater for your family? How long is the duration of your stay? So the visa that you'll be given is dependent on the validity of your passports. Let's say for your passport is about 10 years. If you have that, if your country offers that, you can be given a 5 years visiting visa in which you will be able to come into Canada, stay for 6 months, and then go back and then come back again, as the case may be. That is if you have the fund to foot your transportation bill. So the more years you have on your passport, the better, the merrier it is for you. So think about that. Look at your passport and see the validity before you put in the application. Check your proof of fund. The visa officer is going to check your proof of fund. So if you are coming in the very first instance, my advice is, if you don't have tons of money, don't include your family in it. For 2 reasons. Your money will not be enough. If you don't have it, will not be enough to cover your expense for the duration of your stay in Canada. 2, leaving your family behind gives you what they call ties to your countries. In other words, it shows the visa officers that at the end of your stay in Canada, you have somewhere and some people that you want to go back to meet. So they see that you have family back home. So that is one way that you can prove ties to your country. Hopefully, you put all the necessary documentation to show that proof. What are those documentation? Your marriage certificate is there, pictures with your family, birth certificate, include them. These are not stated there, but you have to show that you have them. Put the proof. There is nothing like too much proof. Show that you have those proof, those ties to your country. And then the visa officer will be convinced beyond all reasonable doubt to give you that stamp of entry. You should also be able to convince the visa officer where you are going to. You are coming on a visitor's visa and you don't know where to go to. You don't know. You just said you are coming to visa. So how do you convince the person who is not seeing you, who is not asking you a question? Surely, you are going to get a rejection. Search the internet. Do a Google search of tourist attractions in Canada. You can see Vancouver as a place to go to visit. You can see Toronto, you can see Niagara Falls. There are other places of interest. Book those things online before you make your application. Your hotel reservation should be there. In most cases, you'll be required to make the reservation without even paying. It is only when you've got to that hotel you make the payment. So why not get one? Make a reservation, print it out, and add it to your application. These strengthen the reasons you are giving to the visa officer to approve your application. But guess what? Like we said in the past, in February of this year, you will be able to convert your visitors permit to a working one if you are able to get work in Canada. So let me ask you, is it really visit you are coming for? Or you're going to look for a job? And if you are going to look for a job, will you still want to go to Vancouver? Well, if you go to Vancouver, the chances of you securing a job is difficult, because even getting a place to stay and you see the cash you brought, they are going like this. But look at other places in Canada where you can get something. Go to other places where you'll be looking for people who are actually looking for people to work for them. They have it in hand, and they have LMIA available for you. You can actually do some research even before you go to those places, checking their websites, making application before you get over to those places. For example, if you pick your bag and go to New Brunswick, they are having a program where you have 6 different employers that are designated with that responsibility to looking for workers outside. So if you're there in New Brunswick, we are using it hypothetically, you are there in New Brunswick, you can visit any of these offices. For example, JD Ivan, you can go to their office and say, oh, I am a landed immigrant, visitor, and I've applied on your website, and I know for sure that the government says that we can look for job, and this is it. This is my qualifications, these are my papers. Can you give me a job with an LMIA so that I can continue the process? Whoop! The employer will be intrigued by this, by your boldness, by the audacity and your interest that you've shown. And what could happen? You might be given a job as a then, so you can switch. That is cool. So for you to show proof, like we said, you need your family certificates, the marriage certificate, birth certificates of your kids. You need to show that you have a job back home. Probably you need to put in your job offer when you were given that job, that you really hold that particular job, and you are now having a leave of absence. Normally they give you a note or a letter to say that you will be out of job for these particular reasons. You will also need to provide a statement of intent. Basically what that means is that you need to show the visa officer the places you are going, how long you are going to stay there, what days you are going to go there. You need to show your itinerary. So this should be explicitly stated in your application. Once you've done that, you are fine. You want to be generous in giving all the information. What about your past travels? If you are frequent travelers, you have traveled before, all these stamps on your visa, if you've exhausted a particular passport, get photocopies of those parts, include them. And what that tells the visa officer is you are someone who is trustworthy. When you go to places, you do go back home. So that actually solidify your application and make them more likely to be approved by that person. Well, these are simple things that we need to do, but you must do them in all honesty. Ensure that you book your flight to and fro. You are going for a visit and you are just booking one way. That is red flag. It is suspicious. So you need to ensure that you have your to and fro reservation for your ticket intact. This will add credence to your application also. Having said all of this, wish you the best of it. Make your application, go for it. In some cases, you might be required to add a police report. You might also be required to go for a medical. So be prepared for all this when they come, and then go for them promptly. Make haste when the sun shines, because after February, this opportunity will no longer exist. Grab it now while it is still hot. Do everything necessary possible so that you can get a visa, a visitor's visa, to get into Canada. And then, like the secret, look for job and transition, getting a job with LMIA. And that will be the simple step to starting your permanent stay in Canada. If you found value so far, subscribe to the channel, share this video to people who are looking to get in a visitor's permit in Canada. Share this information to your friends and family members who are looking to immigrate to Canada. Drop your question, your comment in the comment section below, and I will definitely look forward to seeing you in the next video.